Hey there, Dr. Barbara Eaton. I want to share with you how thinking creates our reality. And I just posted a picture below. I walked into the kitchen and my husband, I made a breakfast this morning, and he and Braxton are out working in the garage. And so he brought his plate and cup in and glass in and set them on the counter. It's like a foot from the sink and not that much further from the dishwasher. And perhaps like you, I got to say that used to fire me up. I, I would go into my mind and I would create all of these stories of he just thinks his time is more important than mine and he doesn't respect me. And oh my gosh, if he doesn't respect me, then what does that really mean? And I would have this long list, and sometimes they would even lead to, oh my gosh, we're going to split up. Like cuckoo, right? Like, does it ever happen to you? You start with this one idea and before long you're way out into left field and you've made so much meaning about something so ridiculous, right? Or maybe your kids leave their dishes on the counter and you make up this whole story about how they don't respect you and how you're not training them well and what's going to happen when they go off to college or when they get married. And there's this like big, huge story over one innocent little thing. So guess what? We're all up against the same thing, and that's unexamined thought. So when something like this happens, I encourage you to just stop right there. And it's important that you understand that mind houses the blueprint for your reality. And our mind is also our knowing, which is where our innate intelligence is. How that knowing comes into being is through thought. The National Institutes of Health has told us, and based on their research, that we have between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts per day. They're kind of uncontrolled. They're all over the place. But when we choose to indulge in a thought, that gives us our thinking. When we engage in thinking, then that's where we get our emotions from. You cannot feel anything you don't first think. So when you're feeling that disrespect, when you're feeling that angst, when you're feeling that anger, just stop, breathe, and go back and ask yourself, what's the truth about my thinking there? So in that moment, if I was to look at my husband's plate in years past, I would be furious. But now instead, I can just laugh at it. Like, how funny, babe. Like, could you just put it a few more feet? Or you know what? It literally took me 30 seconds to rinse it off and put in the dishwasher for him. Like, what's the big deal? It doesn't have any meaning of disrespect. It doesn't have any meaning other than he said it there and walked back out into the garage. And it doesn't mean anything other than that. Now, let's say it was my kids did it, and I'm working hard to train them to consider the preciousness of others. I'm working hard to train them for the future spouse they would be. Now, that may be a different story, but as a married couple, not training my husband anymore. Like, we live here together as partners. So I just invite you to remember that your thinking creates your reality, right? And that we don't live in a world of reality. We live in our thoughts. And if you want to have great feelings towards your spouse and you want them and you want to have a frictionless marriage, I just invite you to really investigate your feelings and to know that they go back to your thinking. And you can, you really and truly can live a life of laughter and just joy based on what you choose, how you choose to feel from your thinking. And maybe you're thinking, oh, well, Barb, that means he walks all over you. No, that's your thinking. That's not my thinking. My husband doesn't walk all over me, just like I don't walk all over him. And there are things that he does really well, and there are things that I do really well. And if it takes me 60 seconds in order to correct him putting the dishes on the counter, I'm okay with that. Because guess what? Throughout the day, there are probably times that he's spending 60 seconds to correct things that I haven't done exactly perfectly. But in the end, what I really want is just this blissful marriage. And as soon as I was able to tell the dirty, rotten, stinking truth about my marriage, about my own thinking in regards to these little things that come up, I got to tell you, I feel like I live in la la land. And because thinking creates my reality, I don't live in my reality, I live in my thinking. I do. I hope this was helpful. If you want to drop a comment below or have something to contribute, I'd love to read it. See ya.